think you're actually on, yeah, you're on the agenda.
You're
So
on the
you'll
agenda,
know
but
that.
no, we will, in the essence of time for the people that have come in, who I know are kind working folk, we'll bring them to the front of the agenda. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the core group report. And here's the handout, if you
Yeah,
like it.
we made copies. We
Yep.
have copies for all of you.
Wendy or Tom, would you like to address the group?
Yeah, we had a meeting the other day with Horizons, who have done various proposals on our gateway, which is two parts. It's the sign, which is very important, something that we've been kind of talking about for years, and also bike paths. And do they have
a
copies?
copy.
Yeah, so we met, they proposed several different concepts. The first one was a one lane on the Forest Knoll side from Triple I Road all the way down to Tecumseh, 10-foot wide. And then they gave us another proposal with
Here's another set, Mark, you can give us.
a 10-foot on the Windsor hillside. With our philosophy of trying to get more people on bikes and walking, and it seems to be getting more popular every year, we felt that that gateway coming into the valley is a very important thoroughfare. We want it to look attractive. We want to try and get there a lot of people coming down off of the 4-mile loop, coming down off of Triple I, taking a left onto Valley Road or vice versa. We believe that this is a safety issue, and that it is going to funnel more people down into that Triple I area for the loop, which is what we're trying to encourage. And we also felt that by doing a 10-foot wide sidewalk on both sides, it was better to do them up front rather than to do them partially, do it all at once. When the town appropriated the $90,000, was it, Mark, to do the whole concept, when they approved that, this committee was formed, and we're doing various, we're looking into various other, whether it's the lighting or this, and this has kind of moved to the forefront.
Okay.
We put the sign and these two walkways on either side of 49 up front, and kind of made it our top priority to go ahead with this. Wendy, you want to?
Can I add a couple of things?
Yeah.
If you look at the drawings, these 10-foot sidewalks on either side will only be taking 5 feet of additional land on either side. And the land that this is all on is town land, so there's no getting right-of-ways, no dealing with anything other than maybe some culverts. Also, as part of this project, we're going to reinforce the culverts and also try to do away with the problems of the washouts that we've had on that road.
Especially on the Windsor side.
Right, the Windsor side, and we're having more erosion over here by Forest Knoll, which has developed in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you can just go to the red version of the map, you'll see the clearing area for gateway sign. And that's where the engineers on the committee came up with the idea where the best new green welcoming sign will be. So that would be cleared away and kind of built up and landscaped around. The costs here, we don't have the costing, but these are
Well,
rough.
we're budgeting in the
Yeah.
CIP 300,000 for
Okay.
everything, and that's for
All right.
both sidewalks.
Okay, well, one of the reasons we came up to do both sidewalks was the cost to do one side was 135,
Yeah,
and the cost to do the other side was 196.
right.
So we made the decision, it made sense to do it all at once and get that way, and also to create, as Thomas says, this sense of arrival in Waterville with these bike paths where people can see that we're a bike-friendly community, and hopefully people will use the bike paths. It will also be wide as you come in, and then as we get further down a little bit, it will narrow a bit, but it will work to be, we hope, traffic calming, to bring the speed down as people come in and as they leave. So there's a multi-purpose for this thought, not just for to create a place for the sign on the bike path. It eliminates the problem of drainage as well as the rest of the stuff, and it's, I think, a worthy way to show people that who we are and what we are as a town, and maybe people will start using this stuff.
And the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just gonna ask, how close to the road is that sidewalk going to be? I
Well,
mean,
it's going
is
to be
there-
part of the
Where it is
road.
now.
It's gonna be part of the road, it's gonna
We're
be
gonna extend the road
lined
off
off,
and then
it's
line it
not
off.
gonna be physically separated. So there's gonna be, it's gonna be a painting
Okay,
Right.
thing,
We're
it's
not
not
gonna
be
narrow the traffic lanes.
it's not
The
gonna-
and
traffic
no,
lanes
and
will
no
still-
curb,
Right.
no curb.
no curbs.
No,
Right.
Okay, and I think, down in that area below Lenny's house, it's
Yeah.
raised.
yes,
Right.
we're gonna, Jim and I still need to talk to the engineer. There are some issues potentially with utilities, and
Right.
we're gonna look at the drainage and talk with the engineer about the drainage especially on that raised side.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So you
So-
take the existing sidewalk that's along there out?
Yes, that'll be removed is what he's recommending, and a new pedestrian/bike area
Yeah.
on the,
And what's
in
the
a single
thought in
paved
terms
section.
of, is one side gonna be for pedestrians and one side for bicycles?
Left
it'll be a
side.
shared way
In and out.
between. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it'll be
But it'll
shared
be-
bike and pedestrian,
But it'll be 10 feet wide.
but it'll be
Yeah.
10 feet wide.
Which is kind of what the width is over going towards the sign in Town Square.
Here, I'll give you a great
Along
example.
Yes,
49?
it's 8 feet,
Yeah,
actually,
here.
that's
Is that
8
8
feet.
Here, let's
Okay,
take
so
a look
it'll
at
be
that.
a little wider than
Yeah.
that.
A travel lane on the highway is 11 feet wide,
Okay,
so it's a foot shorter than that.
okay.
So it goes up past the realty office there to
To the
Tecumseh
corner.
Road?
It
Yes,
goes- It
to
goes from the
Tecumseh.
corner and then down, and then it'll be across over,
And what does it connect to at Tecumseh Road?
There's a crosswalk from the village
it comes
condo
across to the
side,
sidewalk.
across to the existing sidewalk,
Okay,
and so we'll
We'll
have
go
to
down
take
the
a
club,
section.
that goes back over.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to take a section
Of
of
curb out.
curbing out and do a turn down. The other part of that is, he's recommending that we change the layout of Valley Road in front of Village before you get to Noon Peak Road, as you're
Mhm.
traveling along there, and narrow down the traveled ways, and make it more
Right.
bike and pedestrian friendly, especially bike friendly, along that area in front of village condos.
and we can do that?
Well, I think so, we're gonna have
This is
to
all part
walk
of-
it
And-
with Jim, but,
And also, it's not happening now, but on Tecumseh Road, that goes by Village and swings around to Valley Inn,
Right.
I've talked to Village and they have agreed to allow us whenever.
Yeah, we've
A
we've
bike
walked
path.
that
we've
with the
walked
village
it
people,
with-
there's
yeah.
some real big issues on that one, that's a
Yeah.
very expensive, short piece of,
Right, but
Yeah. oh yeah,
they've agreed to allow
Yep.
the town to do that whenever.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just one other final thing, because I guess we want this on the warrant article for,
it's currently in the CIP, the planning board will be discussing it tomorrow, but it's in the CIP for 2018.
okay, so obviously the walkways are gonna be very popular with our vacationers. And we've been talking for a long time about having that gateway feeling, having that sign, and all those people, the skiers that go and they don't even know what exists beyond Triple I Road. So this is for the first time, kind of let all our vacationers know that there is a town, there is something that goes beyond that left or right from Triple I when they go on, so.
I think this,
Yeah,
and
this
it's
is
also
a-
gonna create a great sense of arrival for our summer guests.
Yeah, that's right. You never
Yeah,
know when you
it
can
will,
arrive, so this is
absolutely.
gonna be good.
Yeah.
So,
And there are some real improvements that are needed on the
Right.
Windsor Hill side
Right,
of that hill.
just to
So,
stop the
Just to stop
drainage
the
issue.
erosion and what's going on
Yeah.
there. So hopefully we can take care of all of these issues at the same time.
all right.
Okay, great. Well, thank everybody on the core group. Wendy, any comments? Well, I think we should acknowledge Wendy for being the
Yeah,
the
right.
Chair.
chairperson of this thing and
Absolutely.
keeping it together.
All right, Wendy.
She kind of runs our core meetings. So.
All right, great, so that's it for the core groups. Let's go back to, let's look at some minutes, shall we?
All right. So get it away.
Whatever you wanna do.
Thank you for
Thank
moving
you.
us to the top.
So which minutes do you wanna
Let's
look
look at the
at?
let's look at the 11 first, they're out of order in our package here, but let's,
You wanna take a look at the 11th?
yeah, I had a couple of little things on the 11th. All
You
right,
know, I'll make one comment.
Sure.
On line 61, the statement by Chris Hodges relative to this is the ice arena, you know, the venue there. I have no disagreement with that statement. It seems to contradict to some extent the statement that, as it's written in the other set of minutes.
that's why I'm saying let's do the first minutes first.
Oh, okay.
That's-
So the way it's written,
Right.
if Chris agrees that that represents what he said,
Right, and then I think we,
then I
it gets
think
addressed
we ought to
further.
leave that there. Right.
Okay,
I haven't seen that, so.
Well, we can
all
read
right,
it.
here,
to you.
I'll read it to you. Chris Hodges, this is from the meeting of the 11th. Chris Hodges states that public safety's concerns were of serving alcohol to the general public as a concession stand, but we're fine with the plan as presented. Discussion followed concerning amendments if necessary. with
Well,
police
okay,
review.
is that your opinion?
I don't think I said that we were fine with it, I think it was less of a,
Less of an issue?
right, if it were a private event.
Let's change, would you happy if you change that to less of an issue? Because we'll have the minutes of the
Okay.
25th to look at as well. All right, so we can make that change.
We'd have fewer concerns, I guess.
Or fewer concerns, or something like
Yeah.
that, that's fine.
Okay. All right, well, I had a couple of really sniggly things on this. If we look at line 26, public safety assisted with a cross-country course, and there was lot of community support, there should just be an A in there. Then on line 31, it was, the sludge pumping of lagoons will continue for another week, if the event of any question, so that if should be in the event. And that was all I really had.
Yeah, no, I had no other changes
Yeah.
to that set of minutes.
All right, so can I have a motion to
I'll make a
amend?
motion to
Amend and approve.
accept the minutes as amended.
I'll second
All
that.
in favor?
Aye.
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 Done. Let's go to the 25th. Bill, you had a few things?
Yeah, well, I think we ought to make lines 34 to 36 there. I don't, here's what I would propose, that we take out that whole section and have, say, the residents who own the road tried for several years to plow it using private contractors, but were unable to do so satisfactorily. You know, some statement like that.
That works for me.
We're unable to do so
Well,
in
they weren't
a
able
in a
to,
manner that
they weren't-
satisfied
they
emergency.
tried, but they
Yeah.
could never
Right.
find a way to do it satisfactorily. I mean, I don't, you know, something like that. But somehow it doesn't communicate that, you know, as
Yeah.
I read it, it got a little confused. Line 156, it's just a small typo, I think that should be Tom.
Yeah.
It should be Tom.
Yeah.
And then I'd like on line 61, whatever statement we put in the 1 minute, let's put the same statement in the other minute. Because
Line 61 or 160?
I think it's line 61, that's what I wrote down, but maybe I got it wrong.
61's a blank line.
Oh, well, it can't be 61. It's gotta be another one then.
It's 61 in the other minutes.
Oh, it's 61 in the other
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
What is it in this minute? Does
Well,
it?
there's quite a bit in this. You have to get over Chris Hodge, we'd have to start around 178 to get Chris included in here.
Yeah. What I was concerned about,
146,
yeah,
146.
at the end of line 146.
Yeah,
Well,
the
one,
comment regarding the
Okay.
proposal, it
There's one
states
at
that the initial
179.
proposal was to have a bar in the ice arena. The follow-up proposal was a private room function with food and beverage, which resulted in, yeah, I don't have any problem with
Right.
that. But there was a statement in here where somebody asked him how
For
he
his
felt
thoughts.
about serving alcohol.
And he reiterated his comments from the last meeting. And
Yeah, that's
where
what
we
I'd
wanted
like to
say
see.
the same thing,
Yeah,
which is what he said.
right.
Alcohol is a bad idea.
178.
Yeah.
yeah, 180
Yeah.
is actually the one that needs to be changed to match.
Right.
Mhm.
Line 180 matches. Just make it match the other.
Make it
Yeah,
not that it was
because this came on
acceptable.
awfully strong that
Yeah.
serving alcohol was a bad idea. And I thought what we concluded was this was kind of acceptable. You know,
Well, it was less bad.
Less
Yeah,
bad.
less bad. Right.
yeah, it was, right, less bad.
I think my intent was to make it clear that I didn't endorse.
Right.
No one's
Serving
asking you to
alcohol.
say anything other than what you wanna say. I mean, but, I don't wanna say two different things
Yeah.
in two different sets of
Yeah.
minutes.
Right. Okay.
Just
So
make
has that been?
Is that okay?
has that been
Yeah,
fixed?
whatever you
Line
wanna,
180.
that'd
Okay.
be fine. That was the only changes I had.
I had a question about 143 and 144. Mike asked for any comments from the public, and Wendy Rathgeber comments that she felt that the added use to a property, the abutter should have made aware of the changes. Is that a requirement for an added use?
No.
Or an added,
This
I just
added-
wanna get into the definition of added use and change of use.
Well, this added a use, I think her point was that
Oh.
it added the use to a town-owned property. It wasn't just a blanket.
No, she's just asked, she says abutters should have been notified, she's not.
Should have been notified of the changes.
is.
Well, I mean, she can make that
She
comment,
made the
but
comment,
that's,
but-
there's no requirement to
No,
do
there's
that.
no requirement
Yeah,
to
no,
it. That,
courtesy.
she was just saying that,
Beg your pardon?
I think she was talking about out of courtesy.
Oh, no, I think I've
Right.
got you there, I just wanna,
And we need an extra word there. to
instead
Yeah.
of
that
a,
with.
could I just say instead of a, that's a added use to the town property?
I don't think that was.
town-owned
I don't think it
I
had
don't
anything
think
to
it had
do with
anything to
it,
do
that
with
it's
the
a
town.
town property.
I think it had to
And-
do with the fact that
Okay.
she's operating a food and beverage establishment in the same
Right.
area, and nobody talked to her.
Right, but that would be a landlord issue.
I think
anyway.
the point
Yeah.
was, I think she was trying to make was, as a courtesy,
Right.
the abutter should have been notified,
Right,
you know.
So the proposal added a use to a property, and the abutter should have
She
been made
felt
aware.
that maybe as a, I think
that
add
with-
that, as a courtesy, the
That
abutter should
with
have
the
been.
added use.
She felt that with the added
Okay.
use to a property as a courtesy, a butter should have been notified.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
Right.
And on line 154, you could add an S to legend.
Have an
Okay.
apostrophe there, but-
Because Mike O'Brien is of legend, we do realize he has that status here.
The S
A
goes
legend.
away.
All right, and that was it, I think, for me.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the 25th as amended.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. All right, we'll move on to financial update. Now, Mark, explain to me what you were talking about in your notes here. These changes did not affect the tax rate as they changed the revenue amount by $1,000.
We plus and minus a couple
Estimated
of
revenue.
lines, estimated revenues as part of the tax rate setting.
Right,
The net effect of that was only about $1,000 total difference
right.
from what we had talked about in, when we did the MS 434. So there were just some minor changes. They are reflected in the proposed budget numbers that are here. So if you compared this report to previous reports, those numbers are not gonna match.
So it's cumulatively $1,000.
Cumulatively,
What was the
$1,000.
biggest number you changed?
Public safety went down because of ambulance revenue, lack of ambulance revenue, that went down 5,000, and rec, because of the boats, went down 5,000.
Okay.
But there were offsets to plus.
And then your things that went up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Anybody else?
No, I'm all right.
All right, we can move on. Department heads. Chris?
Well, we're still working on doing our occupancy inspections for the hotels, motels, public areas. So that's kind of, this time of year we do that, we're still working on those. And we're working on training, we spent a whole day training last Friday, and we're catching up with that, and getting a few stragglers that weren't able to make it, and getting those people up to speed, and just doing our year-end paperwork and submissions and stuff like that.
I ran into Sean Curtin. He told me something about a change or something with the walls and the ice arena. It's
It's just a minor,
oh, okay.
minor adjustment, nothing.
No, he wasn't complaining. I just asked him what was going on.
Yeah, he had an extra, I felt he had an extra door that he didn't need to put in this door that he wanted to put in, and everyone agreed, so.
Okay.
It's, there was, so they got their consult from the liquor commission about that area. Liquor commission said it had to be a secured area. Sean thought door. I said, no, it doesn't mean door, it means it has to be secured. Not physically, but just secured, monitored. So we eliminated a door, that's all. It's
Okay.
easier for egress too.
Does that mean that there must be somebody from Mulligan's there
Yeah,
all the
and a
time
half
is serving
wall,
alcohol?
what they're gonna do, instead of building a wall and a door, they're just gonna build a half wall with an opening, and they can put a chain across it when they have the private functions, that's all.
Okay,
So they'll be monitoring it.
so that meets the state's definition
Yeah.
of secure.
And it
Okay.
makes it much easier for egress,
Okay,
for safety.
Okey-doke. And the new guys are in rotation and everything is working right?
They're training, yep, they're not obviously ready to go yet, but they're training.
Fire engine fixed?
No, they're ordering parts for that now, we sent the deposit. As soon as he orders the parts, he will give us a date to bring it down.
And do you know how we're doing on the assessment of the ladder truck?
I've been working on that, Jeff's been working on it.
Yep.
So Underwriters Laboratories out of Boston, the only way to get a hold of them is to email them. Jeff has emailed them, I have emailed them, Jeff's emailed them several times, and they just won't get back to us, and I can't find a number. So if anybody has a number for Underwriters Laboratories in Boston, I need it.
Isn't it on the
and
extension cords?
what do you need an underwriter's laboratory for?
To do a ladder test, an aerial
Oh,
ladder
okay,
test.
for them to
So we
come
can
out
get
and do
good
a test.
assessment on it.
They probably know that, and they don't wanna come.
What if you just showed up and
Because-
pretended you had an appointment?
Okay, I said I emailed you. No, because the test we do now is enough to meet the standard, but the Underwriters Laboratories they inspect every weld and magma flux the whole truck and go in a lot deeper than what we have done now. So it gives us a better picture of
What we're looking at as far as its longevity or what's gonna cost to keep it.
If you know anything about the medical field, it's like doing a 12 lead EKG on it instead of just a regular 4 lead EKG.
Okay, great. Do you have a recreation department report for us, Mark, or we'll wait till next week?
No, it'll have to wait till next meeting.
Okay. Tim, how are you?
Good.
Okay.
Next week, we should be firing up, Cat should be here to fire up the wastewater treatment plant generator. The electrical, work is complete on it, so we just need them to start it up and the initial go through. So that we're going to schedule for next week. Lower Greeley Hill is complete. I don't know.
Any surprises on that?
Oh, man, pretty easy.
No, pretty much, everything that we expected.
So we can go now right on it, the lower
Right on.
section.
You can skateboard on it.
You can
Well,
skateboard,
okay.
it's really nice.
I've got extra boards in the garage, Bill, if you'd like one.
No, that's downhill, right?
And
Yeah,
I would-
it sure is.
I would like to say that, there's quite a few improvements on the road, and I think that, you'll agree that it was money well spent. And, I'd like to, just put forth that the contractor did a very, very good job, so.
Great. All the equipment in good shape, everything?
Everything is working. Everything is in fairly decent shape. We have a few minor repairs on, like the, loader backhoe to do before winter, and, nothing that would, impede it from operating. It's just wear and tear,
All right.
and, bushings and pins and things like that, so. We're gonna be getting those done. It's time for, to evaluate everything on tires, so, we're getting into that part of the season. So we'll be getting new tires, and on the garbage truck especially. And, that's about it. Everything's going good.
Okay.
Okay, and the new person starts when?
Monday.
All right.
I noticed that's under old business, but we can talk about it now.
Well, try to knock out all your stuff. Let's talk about the well.
More
Nobody
bacteria.
wants to say
More
anything.
bacteria.
More bacteria. I spoke to.
Why?
Well, no,
Um,
that's what
yeah,
they're still trying to
that's
figure
what
out.
they're trying to
They
figure
can't
out.
figure
So
it
Haven't they eliminated
so-
a bunch of sources, ideas
No.
now?
We are.
Well, they've eliminated some sources, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
um,
it's now looking like we've got a contaminated well.
Joe, we're
We're
hopefully,
mid-email, so.
we're in the process of scheduling the pressure test, because the bacteria amounts, even though we are continuing to shock the well, the bacteria levels are still going up. So we do need to pressure test the distribution line, because Joe just wants to completely eliminate it as a potential source of contamination. In addition to that, Emery and Garrett will be conducting the special bacteria
So
tests
they
that we
wanna
talked
pressure
about.
test the line in between the well and the distribution point to see if there's a leak coming in there.
Mhm.
Even though in theory, the backflow valves ought to fix the problem.
Right, we
Even-
should be getting back to it.
We should not, that's right, we should not be getting anything back, but he just wants to make sure that there is no break in the line anywhere.
Right.
It does hold water pressure, but the pressure test will be definitive that there is absolutely no leak. Only because the level is changing so drastically. We also will be doing a special bacteria test which will clarify whether or not it is surface water influence or whether there's some sort of biological contamination in the ground itself, like a animal that has maybe gotten into one of the radial arms and died, or some sort of,
But
Is
wasn't
that
nest
technically
or-
possible for
Yeah,
a
it's
small
technically-
animal to have gotten in?
But wouldn't you think
Dig
that,
burrow
burrowing,
in?
or, yeah, they could burrow in.
but wouldn't we think that we're dealing with water and things dissolving? And we've had this problem, I might explain to you, I wasn't the greatest science student in high school. I don't even remember going to science in high school. But my thought is that if you had a small animal in one of these radial arms, wouldn't you think the amount of time that this has gone in, that whatever was left of the small animal would have been washed through?
No, I don't,
I can understand a cow contaminating a well. A cow is a big thing, but I'm thinking that if it's a mole or something small that would get in here, we would have been through this
But
cycle
when
already.
you're talking bacteria, you said this is E. coli specifically.
it is both total coliform levels are increasing, and now there's E. coli
And
present.
there's E. coli present.
Mhm.
E.
So
coli
it's either-
only potentially comes from a limited number of sources, right?
It's either a surface water issue or it's something
I mean, it's-
biological in the
Yeah,
well.
I mean, but it had to be an animal pooping it.
Or something, or
Right.
dying or something.
Would dying produce E. coli?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
As it decomposes.
But back to my point, this has been going on for so long.
Well,
that-
the levels, the problem that we're seeing, Mike, is that the levels are going, they're so far up now.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, we were at 15, 17 total coliform, now we're at 200 total
didn't know we'd gone
coliform,
up
and we're
that much.
5.6.
Was this
E.
after
coli.
the big rain?
They are after the big rain, so we're looking at potential for surface water
Yeah.
infiltration somewhere. You know, we're just, I don't know. And right now, Jamie and Dan can't tell us.
And
either.
surface water infiltration, if you, I mean, I know we don't, is it hard to test for these things?
No,
No.
there's a
I
specific
mean, if you
test
went
that they
and
can
just tested the water that's in the river, would it come up with levels like that?
do. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all
Because this
Yeah.
specific test, is, it'll test the river water more than likely also.
Yeah.
But what you're looking for in your well is the same types of things that you would find
Sure.
in the river.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so if you've got cryptosporidium or,
Yeah.
you know, some of these other things, minute, small plants. So what they do is, they run the water through a filter for a specified number of gallons for a specified amount of time. Take the filter, wash it in the lab, and then look at it under a microscope
Right.
and do an inventory of
And
what's
see
in
what's
it.
in there,
Mhm.
count the little buggers.
So that is a lengthy test. It takes us over 3 weeks to get the results. So that's why in the schedule, I'm recommending that we do the your first December meeting, to have the discussion. Well, I don't think the 29th is gonna work because of the holiday.
So
so-
remind me now that we have the new well
Yeah.
functioning, where are we from a capacity standpoint?
Wells 2 and 4 handle our peak demand periods. So we are
between
fine.
Don't have
2
an
and
issue.
4, we have more than
Right.
enough water.
That's
What we
correct.
don't have is any emergency reserve.
That's correct.
Correct.
And we are limited, remember our permit for 4 limits the number of days and number of hours that we can pump well 4. So that if we were to lose.
That's the new well.
The new well.
So I didn't
well,
realize there was a limit on
Yes,
what
is-
there is a limit, and in the total number of gallons that we can take out of the
Never heard of this
well
before.
over,
Excuse me.
over a given period
A
of time.
period of time.
So what, and actually that's with all of our wells are limited.
Yeah, right, okay.
And so if we were to lose 2,
Hmm.
and the same thing is true with well 2, if we were to lose well 4, we would potentially exceed our permitted withdrawal amounts. So we gotta have backup. That's why the 3rd well is so important.
Well, I'm not giving up on the third well, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
we're rapidly approaching winter.
Mhm.
When, you know,
We're-
when
we're
the odds
fine.
are that we're not gonna know anything. And so we're gonna go through it, and I just wanna make sure that
Yeah.
going through the winter,
Going through the
we're in
winter.
better shape than we were last year.
Absolutely, because we were down to 1 well last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and we did actually exceed, a couple of days, we exceeded our permitted withdrawal on well 2 because we had to pump it so much. When well 3 was out of service.
How much is
Right.
our permitted withdrawal? Do you know offhand?
No, not for a total number of gallons per day, but, we're permitted for 180 out of well 3, 220, I think, out of well 200 or 220 gallons per minute out of
I think it's a little more than that, but I have to look.
250 maybe. And then well 4 is 300 gallons a minute.
Yeah.
So there's plenty
Okay.
under normal
Well,
use.
number, let's see, 2 and 3 are of similar designs?
No,
They're not.
no. Well 2 and well 4 are similar designs, gravel pack wells.
Gravel packed,
Yeah.
but
It's
3
it's
is
the
the
only
3 is
radial
the
arm.
radial arms.
radial arm well,
Yeah.
different.
And it's really, Jamie and Dan are leaning towards right now, it's primarily a gravel pack well. They're not sure what the radial arms are really adding, because when we draw the well down, there's not a lot of water coming in
In those
from the
arms.
galleries.
Yeah,
So it's primarily coming from the bottom, so it's primarily a gravel pack well.
and depth-wise, similar to all these wells are roughly this?
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
have
I
to.
think well four is the deeper
Yeah.
one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
So we will move along and talk about just, the follow-up meeting we can't have until they're ready,
and
so.
the
Right.
follow-up meeting, they will be prepared to answer this question as to if, at these levels of
Yes.
bacteria,
Right.
is this a treatable?
Yes, right,
Yeah.
they will have that answer.
Okay.
That's what
Could we choose to
EMPA
treat this, or,
Right.
Or would it
or they're
contaminate?
not gonna,
Mhm.
they're not gonna let us?
We will have that answer.
Okay. All right, anything else that involves Jim? Jim, got anything
Well,
else for
the
us?
dam update,
All right, let's talk about the dam
Yeah.
update.
I included the administrative order, do you have any, did anything jump
Yeah,
out?
here's the dilemma I have with the administrative order. What there is, if you look at line 17, and I'll read it, DES has reviewed preliminary designs submitted by Waterville Valley and its consultants
Mhm.
for modifications that, what is that saying? That does that say, without putting it in writing, that they've agreed that a $500,000 solution to this problem is possible?
Yes, they have agreed to that. They have
How much,
agreed to our
how much do we
50%.
have, how much money do we have reserved right now
We have
that we haven't spent? Because I know
That
we spent
we've-
some money now.
we
from
have
lawyers.
approximately 120,000.
So we've got to raise 400.
400. That's what we're putting in the budget for inclusion on the warrant. And DES
What-
during our meeting.
What in any way obligates them to, what prevents them,
I'm saying
or
no.
other than good faith, of 2 months from now, when we submit the design, they say, oh, no, that's not good enough.
Well, it says here that they will, well, the only thing is in paragraph 18.
So they
kinda
reserve the
says-
right
it says
to
that we
change
are-
their mind.
Well,
Well, because let me go into why, my own
Yeah.
concern with that,
mhm.
is we're signing a document that obligates us to pay $2,000 a day in the event that we don't do what this says. Now, first of all, that's a lot of money, time is a ticking here. And I don't wanna get back into a contest that says, we can't do it for this amount of money, you gotta do more. You know what I'm saying? Because we're signing the document that says they reserve all the rights to approve everything.
Well,
So they can change their minds.
They have the right to approve, they have to approve everything, that's the way the
Well, I
system
know.
is set up.
I know
And-
they do, but
we
what,
have-
And,
but
no,
what,
we-
what makes us think that that they won't change their mind as they have in the past and say, okay, we need the $1 million solution?
because they have said that,
Where's
that
it- where
they
is it?
are giving us approval of reasonable changes to the implementation schedule shall not be unreasonably
No,
withheld
yeah.
by DES, so
Right.
they are agreeing, we have a plan that we have the 50% solution on, that they have accepted that is an acceptable way to deal with the issue.
Okay,
We have to do final design, and we're working on that right now to
okay.
get final design done.
And the engineers are
And-
comfortable that the budget numbers we have
They're-
will cover this?
Yes, our engineer is comfortable, and the state engineer who is working with our guy
Okay,
is comfortable that we should be able to do this within the budget. Now, the only caveat to that was nobody else in the state, they have not done this type of a solution on this large of an area. So we're gonna be the largest dam, that is using, but they've done it in other states.
Okay,
For
well,
the
yeah,
state of
all right.
New Hampshire,
So it's not an
we're gonna be the
unknown
largest.
technology?
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
we're not.
No, this
all right,
is
okay.
proven, this is applied in many
Well,
different places.
you know, from our perspective, I don't care,
Yeah,
because I don't think there's anything wrong with the dam.
No,
So,
right.
you know,
That's
other
right.
than the fact they said that it's a problem.
so the only thing that if we got some, got further down the road and some engineer who hasn't been part of the process
Yeah, it
list were
comes
to
in
bring
and
up
says,
something.
you gotta
Yeah.
do
And-
X.
So that's why, if you look under the consent and waiver of appeal, that's what paragraph 4 is in there for, is that we're obligated to tell them immediately if something like that were to happen, which they're gonna know because they're part of the process. So we're reviewing everything with DES as we go. So that allows us to, or if we design something and then we get out there for construction and something is in the ground that we weren't expecting, we just immediately tell them, and they're saying that they will not unreasonably withhold
Alright.
approval for an extension so that we can
Right.
get it
Can you read the
fixed.
last line for me here, in
Mhm.
4?
Failure to secure funding for the required actions or failure of a consultant to meet deadlines in and of itself shall not be construed as beyond the control. So where you're going to make a good faith effort, put it on the warrant, and we're gonna have to tell town meeting that this is not it's not really an optional.
Well, that's what I'm
Just-
ready to say, that
Well,
that
it's
if the
not-
if town meeting votes this down, we're saying that we still have to do it.
We will still have to do it. DES will go to DRA and it'll be put on the tax rate. I mean, that's ultimately what would happen if we just thumbed our nose at them now and said, no, we're not gonna do this.
But what I'm
That's what
saying is,
they're
if the
trying
town votes it out, or if the consultant comes out with a plan that's more money than we're going to spend, is what it's saying here, any required failure of a consultant to meet deadlines, and I can consider coming up with a plan that exceeds the budget, triggering not
If-
meeting a deadline.
We have made it very clear to
We have nothing
state.
in writing, is the point that I think Bill is agreeing to.
It doesn't appear to be in the written language
Right, and they
anyways.
wouldn't change it because we asked them to change it. We asked them to waive the language with the fine, we've gone back to them and asked for the things that you're asking for pretty much,
We have.
and they have said no.
And they have said no.
So we're to do this based on basically a good faith understanding with them.
Yes,
Because they won't put in writing that in somehow,
this plan for 500,000 is the be-all, end-all,
Right.
if you guys.
No,
it's
they
an
will not
acceptable
commit to
solution.
that. They will not make that detailed a commitment. They are already,
oh, damn,
this has a lot of waivers or a lot of language in it. I mean, we got a lot of stuff put into this that they could have just given us an administrative order and not given
But
us
the last
any-
lines say they have given us a.
Yeah, but
administrative order.
what the key is once we sign this, we waive any right
To
to
appeal it.
challenge it in court. If they give us an administrative order, we have a right to go challenge it in court. Now, I understand the opinion of our lawyer is this, that, we have zero chance of winning it just about. But you could still go to court and get a temporary stay. This, as I understand it, once we sign this, we can't go back. Is that your understanding of this? That once we sign this, even if the town doesn't raise the money, you're right. That what the state's gonna do is come in and say, we'll do the work, and we're gonna put it on your bill.
Which they were going to do anyway.
Except that we could have taken them to court.
Well, I feel, I
And
really
stopped
think
it.
that, I mean, I'd
Well,
have to check with
temporarily
Russ.
stopped it.
I think,
Or if we don't sign this and continue with our plan, the worst they can do is put it on our bill. No, I'm just looking at, Mark, I'm not saying we're not gonna sign it, but I'm just talking out loud here. That what can they do to us? The worst they can do is by the time they get it together, we'll have a plan and maybe we'll go, here's our plan, can we do it?
if they were to write us a letter tomorrow.
Yep.
Or after we sign this and say, well, you know, we know what we said in the AO by consent, but we've changed this is the state, we've changed our mind and you have to do a new spillway and spend $1.5 million. We can challenge that in court. There is paperwork to back us up that they are on the record as accepting our 50% solution on the armoring of the dam. We could challenge if they came back and told us we had to do something completely different. And regardless of whether we signed this or not. Because
Right.
there is paper.
So what's the advantage of our, that's what I'm struggling with. Why would we want to sign this? If we feel that
Because
we
we're
can
gonna
defend
get-
that position, that look, we thought we had a solution, and now you're backing away from that solution, why do we wanna sign the voluntary consent? Now, I know that the lawyer has said you ought to, right?
Yeah, and I don't know the legality, from a legal standpoint, what the benefit is, but this is more advantageous. We are in a cooperative
Right.
situation with the state by
It's-
signing this,
It
rather
hasn't
than
become an
having
adversarial
them
situation.
give us just an outright administrative order that you have this much time to do this work, and there's no caveats to any of that. At least they have put the caveat in, giving us the ability to go back to them and say, hey, time out, we ran into this problem, can we have another 6 months?
Have we asked them whether we can start the clock, and I don't care, I'm okay with getting the work done by, the 2020, whatever
Yeah,
the deadline was.
January 1, yeah.
Right, but start the clock for signing this letter to be the day after town meeting? Have we ever asked them that? That we've got a real dilemma, that we're not, we're spending money we're not authorized to spend.
I think, Bill, they don't care. I
We-
think they say
we-
they're gonna take it.
Well, have
from
they,
us.
we're only asking for 2 months.
I have
We'll-
not asked them that question.
Could we start that we'll sign this consent order the day after the town approves the money? But,
That's
to
a
do
reasonable,
it,
that's a very
otherwise-
reasonable question.
I would think that I think we're violating the state law, aren't we? By spending money that we're not authorized to.
Well, I think Russ Hilliard would have told you if you were
Well,
violating
I
state
don't
law.
know.
If,
No, I think he probably.
Well, he
would've known.
might have, I don't know. I don't even know whether are we authorized to do this?
yes, you are. You're the ones who
Yeah,
are the
but I'm
business
not-
of the town.
Well, I'm not authorized to spend $300,000
You're
to
not
put a new
spending,
sign.
you're not
and-
spending a penny, Bill. There's no appropriation for this. All you're saying is that you're gonna make a
but
good
if-
faith
if-
effort.
Right,
No.
right, but if we don't do it,
Bill,
aren't we gonna get fined?
If-
What happens if
the only way that the town is gonna get fined is if you, the Board of Selectmen, do not put a warrant article on the 2018 town meeting
That's not what it
warrant.
says.
Yes, that's all you can do. You cannot appropriate money. You have no authority to do that. Town meeting
My
does.
struggle with it is, and maybe we need Russ Hilliard here, is that I read it legally. It seems to me that if we fail in any aspects of anything, that in the end we're gonna they could fine us $2,000 a day. You're saying that's not true, but
No,
is Russ Hilliard
this-
saying that's not true?
I don't think he's
Well,
saying
he
that's not
told us-
true. I think he's saying,
No.
Mark is saying, they said they wouldn't do that.
No, but you are continuously and diligently pursuing implementation of the actions required in this administrative order by consent. You're doing, if you put that warrant article on the town meeting warrant, regardless of the vote, all you have to do is put that warrant article on there, okay? And if,
I would
if the
feel much
engineers-
better if I heard, you're saying that's Russ Hilliard's interpretation of what that clause says. That's very important to me, that in fact is the case. So, I mean, we can go
Okay.
back and ask him again, what do those clauses mean? Exactly, if we fail,
Can we
if
try to
it's
get Russ on
just,
the
so
phone?
if we go to town meeting and town meeting refuses to do anything, where are we?
if town meeting refuses to, does not approve the warrant article that
Right.
you have put on, then the state and the 2019 town meeting DRA will direct us to put a warrant article on there for the amount of money that DES determines. We're
Right.
now out of it.
Okay.
DES will tell DRA that they need to put an appropriation
And regardless
on
of the
there,
vote,
and regardless of the
the
vote, it'll
vote,
be
it'll
included
be
on
improved.
the
Yeah.
2019
And on top
warrant.
of that,
And on top of
because
that,
we missed the schedule of
That's right.
December 1, 2018, they're gonna start fining us
That-
$2,000 a day.
and that's,
Is that what they're gonna do?
but
Well, it
that's,
depends on which
That's what I'm
deadline,
That's
trying to
what it
figure-
says.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what
it
I'm trying to
says.
figure
but
out.
that is,
it depends on which deadline we miss.
Yeah.
that's right. I mean, I think the only way that we would get fined, actual fines from DES, is if we don't get the improvements done by the January 1, 2020 deadline, or without a real good reason. Like,
But the question that Bill brings up, that because they haven't approved our plan, is that they come to, yep, we're working with you guys, that's great that you come up with this plan, here's ours, it's $1.3 million. No,
then I think we can take them to court if they say you can't use your
but we
plan
waive all our
anymore."
rights under G.
Yeah, it seems to me that we sign this, we can never take them to court.
No.
But because is that Russ Hilliard's? You see, that's
We
my
cannot
question.
take them to
Maybe we
court.
need Russ in here. and
No, we
answer.
can't take them to court anyways, Bill, it's kind of the thing with the tax rate and the polls.
I understand.
We are in a
It's a
situation
state.
where the state, the all-powerful state, live free or die, but you're gonna live free our way. And you can die whatever way you like, I think.
Well, no,
No,
the option, we can remove the dam.
Mhm.
We're
you
not
gotta get a
obligated to maintain a
You gotta
dam.
get a permit to take the dam out. And you gotta.
Right, but
you
we
gotta
can
get a
remove
permit.
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Have a
you,
plan.
no, you can apply to remove it. And you gotta
Well,
take it out their way.
You know, I think that's
I-
our safety
I
gap. If
mean
they get
that, I'm not
crazy on
being
this, we just pull it
facetious.
down.
Which might cost more.
I think we would make enough money back with cell phones and cameras and glasses that we can recover from
Oh,
draining the dam
we
again.
could show, there's a little fish coming over the dam, going back up again. Yeah.
I don't
I-
know.
I will-
know you want us to sign this.
I'm
No,
struggling with the word, when I read it, I'm not a lawyer,
Mhm.
but it would seem to me that this has got, in fact, a lot of legalese that's teeth. And, if I would feel much more comfortable if Russ and yours understanding is the same thing, then I don't have a problem.
Well, Russ
Okay,
said that in not as many words. I think Russ, in his description and his challenges to the first copy they sent,
He,
you know, he tried to get a perfect document, which
That's right.
he wasn't able to get. They weren't gonna give us.
they weren't
Right.
gonna
What he wanted.
give in to all of our desires. So what is the question to Russ? I will get him to,
Okay.
if
Question
it's
is, can we
correct.
What
delay until,
First of all, two things.
Yeah.
Why don't we sign this letter the day after town meeting? Then my second concern completely goes away, because we'll know whether we approved it or not approved it, right? So, enter into this voluntary consent, would they allow us to wait till after town meeting?
Can we
Now, I
move-
realize
move
it
the dates
doesn't
on
remove
this?
the, they can, because if town turns it down, we're not signing the document. Why would we? I mean, we'll wait for them to tell us we gotta do it, right? Now, my second question is, if we sign this now, and the town doesn't approve the money, where are we? Legally. I think we've waived every right we have, other than wait for them to come in and order us to do it. That's the only.
Oh, I think they've ordered us to do it, there's no question about that.
They
Whether they
ordered
take
us
the
to
money
do-
from us to have it done is the other question.
That,
No,
that's right.
that wasn't
No,
a joke.
I'm not, that is not a joke. That is
Yeah.
exactly the case. We are either going to have an administrative order with no ability to talk to DE, we're just
Well,
going to
yeah,
have
but
to nod our head.
except that we could hire a lawyer and take them to court. That's what we're waiving, I think we're waiving all right
Okay.
to say, it seems to me that that's what we're waiving.
Yeah, that's the bottom half of paragraph 2 in consent and waiver of appeal. By execution of this administrative order,
Okay.
Waterville waives any right to appeal the
I
administrative order.
will clarify what are our
And waives the
what are
right
our
to
rights.
object to
Yeah,
entry
if
by
town,
court.
if we sign this
Mhm.
and the town turns it all down.
Yeah.
What happens? Because it seems to me that they could say, you're in default, you're not submitting a plan, $2,000 a day, I don't care whether you know.
Right.
Now, if he says, no, they can't do that, you know, but that $2,000
See,
a
I think
day
I think they
is
can.
scares
I think
the
they can
hell
do
out of me.
whatever they want. You know, and the
Pretty
reason
much.
we're proceeding, and we've been proceeding the way we have, with keeping a dialogue open, is we don't want to push them to start, getting adversarial.
They could be a lot more adversarial.
No, I
than
agree.
they're
This, the edits that Russ had and the way they came back was, I agree with your concerns, but I think they came back with as conciliatory as they could with the edits to this.
I think they gave us a
consent.
lot in here that at least
But let's
lets
hear
us
these things
question.
from Russ and let's
Yeah.
get these concerns
At least
either.
lets us question them.
get-
We
get-
may not win, but
Yeah.
at least we can question it.
And questioning will take up some
It-
additional time.
It will.
But
It
one of the
has
deadlines
for
here is
8
by
years.
December 1st, 2017.
Yeah, but that's not stuff that's hard to do, right? That's the emergency action plan.
Yes, I will get these
All right.
answers from Russ.
All right, excellent. So let's move on from this
I
one.
can.
All right.
Yeah, in next meeting, we have to make a decision if they haven't changed the dates. Whether to sign this or not, right? December 1st.
No, December 1st is only an emergency action plan, I believe.
No, I
For
thought
the
we've gotta
dam.
sign this consent agreement.
By
by
there we go,
1st.
order, by December 1st, review the EAP for the dam, notified
The
to no
emergency
change.
action plan
Okay,
has to
That's
provide
the
copies
only
of
thing.
changes,
updated.
conduct a text of the emergency network, I expect my
Yeah.
TV to be buzzing, and any requirements, and B, review the OMR, what's that?
Operation and maintenance.
Review for the dam and provide DES with an updated version.
Okay,
All right, so we can do that.
so we're not under any deadline to sign this by December 1st.
No, no.
Okay, well,
Let's just,
I'm just trying to figure
Yeah.
out what we are. What,
Well,
all right, but I think that's a
I
very
think,
valid
I
question.
think DES was under the opinion that when we reviewed, when they came back with the counter to Russ's
Yeah.
Right.
comments, and we said, okay, because Russ said this is as good as it's
Yeah.
going to get,
right,
that DES was under the opinion that we were gonna sign the letter.
well,
I mean,
then we
that's-
should have made a mistake, then,
No.
I mean, in reading the stuff here, I know that Russ said, in my opinion, you're not gonna get any better than this,
Okay.
and I'm okay with that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's his judgment call. But there's still some questions that I
And-
have,
and-
and here's some onerous
And on the
terms.
cover sheet, they're asking this, if this remains acceptable, please sign and date. If you have any additional questions, comments of concern regarding the closed document, please contact
We
us.
will,
We have comments, concerns.
yes.
Right,
Uh,
Yes. And And we will get
questions.
those, we will.
It would
Right,
be immensely easier if we had authorization to do this from the town,
Right,
rather than going into something and not, and having a chance of it being turned down, although,
Right. and I
it's a
think
chance.
you can explain that's our only trepidation.
I've told DES.
Yeah, no,
That
I
that
understand.
all we committed to do was to put this on the warrant,
Yeah.
that they know you cannot,
I
Right.
get that.
you're not the
But-
only voters in town.
Well,
So-
but then why do they have this-
then why all that language that
That's the-
says?
this
Because
last
that's
paragraph.
because the administrative
let's-
order is making, we will do these repairs. There is no choice. about making the
We're talking
repairs.
two different things here. We're talking about the fact that they've got the right to fine us.
Yes,
And why,
And we have no
why,
appeal
and
if they
they're-
change
and
the
you're
plan.
saying, well, no, they say, well, as long, all we have to do is try to get it on the warrant, is to put it on the warrant, to advocate for it, and if it gets turned down, they're not gonna fine us. And I'm saying, that's not what the paper says.
no, I don't want you to, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, between now and town meeting, all you have to do is put it on the warrant.
Yeah, but
Right,
That
but we're
is-
gonna put
that
this
is
on the
your-
warrant whether we sign this or not.
Right,
We're gonna
right,
try to raise the
understood.
money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so you have made the good faith effort.
yes, tell them
If
we are
town
putting it on the
meeting-
warrant.
I've told them that. I've told them that it's your intent, it's
Have
in the
them watch the show.
CIP.
Yeah.
That's right. So if town meeting turns it down, we, the board, would go back to DES and say, okay, we wanna continue to work with you, but
Yeah.
here's what town meeting did, what can we do? You're still talking to them, you're still trying to work through it. I do not believe that DES would fine you as long as, or fine the town, as long as the board continued to talk to them.
I understand.
That's not what the
No.
document
The document
says.
doesn't.
That's not what the document
All right,
says.
let's get a
The question is,
clarification
if
from
Russ
Russ.
Hilliard says, yeah, they won't do that,
Okay,
I feel a lot more comfortable,
Yeah.
although.
but
this
we
is
would
a
have to
law-
have a plan, we couldn't just go back to them and say, oops, sorry, town meeting didn't approve
No,
it,
no,
so we're all
we're
done.
working on this,
We're
and we're
gonna-
going
we're
ahead,
gonna
but
still
Bill's
work.
concerns are valid.
I understand.
Okay, let's move on, let's get into something else on these questions. All right, let's move on to something fun, well, not fun, but something, calendar review. Anybody going anywhere?
Hold on a minute.
And we're thinking of moving the next meeting to the 29th.
That's a good idea.
Instead of the
Okay.
22nd.
I'm okay.
All right, and there's a
29th?
Veterans Observance tomorrow at the school
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yep, at
at
8
8
o'clock.
o'clock.
Is the planning board meeting been changed
To
to 10?
10. To 10.
Okay.
Okay. How about the tax warrant? We should sign that
You
considering the
should
tax
sign
bills
that.
came in today.
Well, only the local ones did.
Okay.
Yes, there's the warrant.
What do you mean only the local ones?
The other ones.
We
probably-
haven't-
them all,
we haven't-
right?
Yeah.
We haven't,
The
well,
ones that get
no,
here
we
get
send
here.
them out in waves.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the other ones will go out today or tomorrow.
All right. Let's talk about the personnel update.
So we have, both of the positions are filled.
Yep.
As Jim told you, the DPW position, he'll start on Monday.
Yep.
And the new administrative assistant will start on the 27th.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is a good thing.
Insurance follow-up on meeting room flooding.
Yeah, we had the flooding in this room, it seemed to have cleaned up really well, dried out really well. So the rubber backing on the floor, I think this carpet was a good way to go.
Yep.
We do have, our risk manager coming in a week from today, to take a look at, we've asked the insurance company to look at the failure of the drainage system. Chris, it
Is there a
seems to be
drainage system?
failing back here
Not
in
much
this
of one.
corner, right?
Is there actually a drain, is there a drain on the, out there? I mean.
Yeah, there's
French drain?
C-poles
It's
and
gotta
those
be-
retaining walls that seem to be
Yeah.
failing.
There's,
Yeah, it looks like it's coming down along the foundation and just coming in underneath. It's not through the wall, it's
comes,
through the footing, I guess.
yeah, between
Under the
between
footing.
the floor and the, yeah.
In the walls.
I know more
So,
about this
So
now
the
than I ever
solution
wanted
I
would
have-
to.
be,
my house in
you know,
Weston,
you'd
I had
have to
French
dig
drains through the whole
away
house.
from the
I've had it
foundation
forever.
and put drains out there.
You put
Yeah,
the drains under the foundation.
Well, not foundation, the
Go
Dustin didn't
underneath the-
specifically say foundation drains, he was talking about a catch basin where it sheds off the flat roof. It sheds off the flat roof into one area, it's a
But also,
catch
you
basin
can-
there, and they let it out here.
But you can also French drain under here and get it out.
You
with a
could,
pipe.
but that's the more.
Yeah, but it's a
expensive
solution that always works.
Right, but the insurance company's gonna go with it.
Well, I'm surprised, I wouldn't think the insurance company's gonna pay for this anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
they're at least talking to us still.
Right, well, no, that's good.
Well, it's gotten progressively worse over time, so
Yeah.
there has been some,
Maybe they'll help us with the
you
dam.
know,
No, unfortunately, I've asked that question, and they won't.
Okay, so the risk manager will be, we'll
So
get a report
they'll
after
come
that.
in on Wednesday and I'll report at the next meeting.
All right. Correspondence, Stan Pico's article, everyone read it?
Mhm.
Nice
Did
article.
read it.
It's a great,
I think there is, you know, the one thing that I find encouraging about that, and it's really, we ought to send that to the planning board, is that's pretty much Gary Larson's vision of what works here in this valley as
Yep.
well, too. I went and spent some time talking to him, and he's convinced that we're wasting our time trying to cater to weekend guests.
Yep.
That the real answer is to make this attractive to people that wanna be here full-time or part-time owners.
Yep.
And, you know, he said there aren't enough guests, we don't have enough rooms to make guests
Yep.
a viable option. I think he's got, and I think that's what this article talks about, how do you make the place attractive
to
to
honors,
people
yep.
who wanna buy as either a primary home or a secondary home? I think somewhere down the road, we need to do something. I don't think it's us, I think it's the planning board should
Yep.
really
I'll
contemplate this.
make sure
Okay,
copies tomorrow
Right.
go to them.
Privilege of the floor, number 2. All right, board concerns and directives?
no.
Mark, anything for non-public?
I do not have anything.
All right, then I think we could probably entertain a motion to
Thank
adjourn.
you for being here.
So moved.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye, so we'll adjourn at 4:09.
Thank you for covering next week.
Yeah, no, Stan's article is right about this. It needs to